hi everyone, I am desperately adding some noise gates to my mic. We're not doing anything last minute here, don't you worry. Get some of that background noise sorted out for you. There we go. Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to Dark Tides and Whispered Hearts, the premiere episode in a brand new season. Now, don't get used to how this overlay looks, because it's not going to look like this next week. We just knocked this one up. Before we go around and say hello to everyone, please check out our social links. You can find our Discord, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you, Academy Monitor, posting that twice. Appreciate you. Also, please check out our sponsors, Mage Hand Press, the Dark Matter book. Okay, everything's being posted twice. Okay, fair enough. Check out the Dark Matter book. It's now available in hardback on their store. You can go and pre-order it now, and it will be released on the 6th of December. Check out the Deck of Many, who have a Black Friday sale on, and all sorts of things. And you can see on that link there that there is a special offer using our special code as well. And check out Hero Forge, our latest sponsor, where you can go and create a whole bunch of things. Why are you posting everything twice, Streamlabs? Oh well, we'll figure it out, I guess. Oh, it's because I've got the Streamlabs bot up twice. That'll do it. Oh. All right. Well, yeah, that's me messing up the intro enough. Let's go around and say hello to everyone. Oh, hi, Alice.
Oh, hi. I'm Alice. I'm also White Rabbit Pick on Twitter, and I will be your DM for Alas, the Awful Sea. And well, let's go around and say hi to everyone else first. Just say where we can find you and the name of your character before I explain a little bit more. So let's head round to Jen. Oh, hi.
Hello, I'm Jen. You can find me on Twitter at QuixoteJen, QuixoteJen, 1N. I didn't pick an easily spellable handle, but that's okay. My character is Shepherd. At least that's what everybody calls him. Nobody actually knows his name.
Perfect, thank you. And then I'm going to hop down one to the lovely Ascension Matt. Oh, hi.
Hello. So my name is Matt. I'm playing Wyatt Peterson. He's an American. So leave that as that. So I'm Ascension Matt on Twitter, Ascension_Matt, and we're Ascension Stories here on Twitch. We do Dungeons and Dragons once a week, and video games and storytelling the rest of the week.
Awesome, thank you. Then we're going to hop around to the lovely Talinia. Oh, hi.
Hello, I am Tania, also known as Rachel. I'm so excited for today's game. I will be playing Lamorna, who is a proper Cornish lass, who you'll be meeting very soon. And yeah, I do a lot of tabletop RPG illustration and artwork, which you can find on my Twitter. I use the Talanair handle for Twitch and Twitter. I also have a Twitch channel where I stream twice a week, kind of working on art commissions, doing kind of art tutorials, that kind of thing. So if that sounds like your jam, totally come along. I love having company while I work. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
Awesome, thank you. And last but certainly not least, as he types furiously, Scrat.
Oh, hi, I'm Scratticus. You might know me. I am typing furiously, currently finishing off this overlay. I will be playing Douglas Lachlan, a Scottish cook from the Dundee area.
Awesome, thank you. So, in the first section of this episode, we will be going through. We've got our character ideas down, but we're going to be looking through the character creation, because one of the awesome things in this game are character bonds. Each character takes a bond, so it links them to another member of the group. This is also a Powered by the Apocalypse game, and also very, very roleplay heavy. So you're not going to see loads and loads of rules. However, the setting up of the bonds and the descriptors is what really gives the character flavors. Bless you, Scrap. And so what we'll do is there anyone who wants to go first, or shall we go around? Scrat's put his finger on his nose. The last person to put their finger on their nose gets... Okay, Matt.
Wait. Hang on. I thought that was a volunteer, like me. I will be first.
I'm afraid not. I don't
Excellent.
know. So what class are you playing in this?
All right. So Why, it's a mercenary.
Mercenary. Okay, right, let's go to the mercenary as my computer. Please let me load. There we go. Okay, so the way this works, you have 5 stats. You have brains, brawn, beauty, balance, and beyond. And to each of those, you allocate a +2, 2 zeros, and a -1. And that can be in any order you want. And what you will see is that the mercenary already has a +2 in brawn. So you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Just comes along with your stat. So you allocate that however you want and how you think your character may go. You can also see the equipment that he'll have. So you can see like custom firearm, you can see a hand weapon, armored vest, and things like that. So you would already have all of those. They do give a list of appearance. However, we don't really go with that. You can look however you want. Especially because this is set in an English setting most of the time, and you're not going to look very English. So
I will not be looking very English.
You'll
No.
not be looking very English. So what I will say, we are in the early 1800s. Piracy has technically been wiped out, but there's always pirates lurking because that's what pirates do. You now have 4 bonds. And each of these bonds is going to be assigned effectively to each one of these players. You don't have to use all of them, so you only have 3 other players. But if anyone wants to take up a second, go for it. So I'm going to read out these bonds, and both Matt and if anyone thinks that their character might suit it or it might be a good bond for their player to have, you will know each other. You're getting ready to set off on this voyage. So one of the first bonds is someone is secretly paying you extra to do some private jobs for them. That can be anything, whether it's passing on messages, whether it's, I don't know, hired thug. I don't know, if you're a sharpshooter, maybe you've done something else for them. Is there anyone who you think or anyone else might have done that?
Yeah, hard to say. I don't really have the clearest idea of who Douglas and Lamorna are. So I would probably appeal to you guys for whether or not you would fit any of these bonds. I feel like, based on what we already know about Shepard from the Discord, if you don't mind, I think I might jump to Shepard has fought on my side before, and I trust him implicitly.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So there's 4 bonds. So you've got the fought on your side before, trust implicitly. You've got this secretly paying you an extra things for private jobs. You've also got reminds you of your child, which you wish them to be safe. We can alter that. It doesn't have to be child. It could be little sister, little brother. It could be a family member. And also, you think someone in this group is weak, and it's not you bully them to get your way, but you know that if you needed to get something done, you can be like, okay, move aside, get out of the way. You know that you'd win in a fight, basically. And I mean, does that appeal to Douglas or Lamora? Any of these I've already said? Or Matt, have you got a family member maybe one of them might remind you of? Can we have a bit of a description of Douglas and Lamora for that?
Yeah, give me that.
Douglas is, you could describe him as a muscular guy, I guess, but it's not defined. There's a lot of bulk there. He's a big guy. He kind of looks like a normal person, but times by 1.5 in all dimensions. He's always wearing a large, thick fisherman's wool knit and a hat, as if it's always cold. And honestly, people struggle to understand him. Probably especially Wyatt, being American.
But you're a cook, right?
I am the cook, yeah.
I'll tell you what, you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
I mean, that's true.
And this is the other thing where it says, like, you know, you think that you could overpower some, you know, push them aside or whatever. That doesn't have to be true. That can literally be part of the characteristic trait of your person. So
Right. Okay. Depending if Douglas has people that he needs shot up, I might, um, be doing the secretly getting paid to do some private jobs.
I mean, the other thing that's also going on in around this sort of time period is food is not necessarily readily available. Like certain ingredients might not be readily available. So you could be either not smuggling, but you could be stopping things on the way to maybe get ingredients for Douglas. You could be going out to shoot certain animals, like hunting them.
I mean, speaking of food, as the Strider, one of Lamorna's main kind of, I guess, occupations is as a hunter. And kind of going out to find food, probably a lot of has a lot of knowledge with fishing and trawling as well. So that's kind of something that is in her wheelhouse.
I could totally slip Wyatt extra portions if he was willing to skim the rare spices off of the deliveries we make for my personal supply.
Absolutely. I will be doing that. And I'm thinking, so back where I'm from, I had a shooting partner. And he wasn't nearly as good a shot as me, but you couldn't separate us. And if the two of us rolled up into town, ain't no outlaws going to walk out, right? Well, he stayed back home. He didn't come with me. I think Lamorna maybe reminds me of him a little bit.
That certainly works for her.
So that would be the family one. The reminds me of my old partner, and I just want him to be safe.
Yeah. So there's a sort of resemblance, whether it's personality, looks, or whatever. And is it Lamorna?
Lamorna.
Yes. You can see that you're definitely sort of stealing spices for Douglas, and for Shepherd, it's very much you trust them. You know no matter what is happening. Yes.
We just hit 10 retweets. Thank you very much. I believe the 10th retweeter was Gwyn Potato Hollow. Potato Hollow, if you're in chat, let us know, because you get to roll the reward.
Perfect. Okay. We will come back to descriptors in a bit. So we've got the bonds done for Wyatt. Is there anyone who wants to go next? Or am I going to pick a round?
You ain't going to do the nose thing again?
Yeah. Right, Scrap.
Ha!
You're the cook. You're the cook, aren't you? So let me find cook. Hang on. Come on, computer. I believe in you.
It's way down. Ninth out of 10.
No, I know. It's just my laptop is not agreeing with me on it. So. Okay. So you have bonds as well, and this is, hang on, go back, let me please. First of all, you also have a +2 in brawn. You're a hardy chef, so you have all that, and then you can allocate +2, 2 zeros, and a -1 in whichever order you want to do for that. You can see that you also have special moves like everyone else, and your equipment is a butcher's cleaver, an oversized iron pot, a secret store of choice for herbs and exotic spices, which plays in very, very well, and also a cook's average wage. Again, I love that they've given surnames and first name ideas, like Paddy and Carrie and stuff like that for this, but of course you have whatever name you want, and we ignore the appearance because you can do that however. Bonds. You always put a little something extra in someone's food. Now, if that's good or bad, I don't know. I'm gonna let you decide that and what the reason may be. You got no matter.
What's the extra?
Yeah. So what is the extra?
What's the secret sauce? What's going on?
Secret sauce. No matter who is formally in charge, someone else is the only one you will really listen to. When you scratch someone's back, they always scratch yours. It's like it's a mutual sort of understanding. And when your temper gets the best of you, this one person can calm you down. So, is there any that is? I mean, I can see 2 already that could work with Wyatt.
Yeah.
So
am I? Because you'll have to. Scrat doesn't read. Everyone knows this. Shepard's backstory. Am I right in thinking that you've seen some action, Shepard? Like you.
Oh, yeah, I've been on this ship for a long time.
Yeah. So I think that if Shepard's been a sailor for a long time and they've done a lot of nautical stuff, then I reckon that maybe Shepard can be the one that can calm me down when temper gets the best of me.
We go way back.
Way back. Yeah. Of course, I always put a little something extra in Wyatt's food. He's he does things for me. I look after your supply line.
So what, like extra spices or an extra portion? What are you?
Well, yeah, the extra portions are part of the bond that we have already established. I put a little something extra in there. I put a little bit of me in his meal. A little bit of something special.
Okay.
And I think
Wyatt looks troubled. It's not.
Wyatt has a concern.
Concerned.
And I think that no matter who is formally in charge, I often only listen to Lamorna.
Very persuasive.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. And it's now going to be down to the nose of Shepard and Lamora.
Oh,
Rachel.
I loved it.
Right, Rachel, you are playing the Strider. Do I believe so?
Indeed you do.
Okay, let's have a look. Please, laptop. Hello, everyone. Please bear with me as my laptop struggles to do anything it's actually supposed to. Let's have a look.
It's quite near the bottom. I think it might be the 3rd one from the end.
Yeah, it's just loading.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so again, you don't actually have any stats already assigned.
I don't, but I have assigned some.
Good, because you have a different set of stats than other people. You have a +2, a +1, well, 2 +1s, a 0, and a -1 to send you away. Your equipment is also a hunting knife, a silenced rifle, hunting clothes, and the Strider's wage. And one of the great things about the Strider as well is you're very good at locating. So you'll probably have a compass or something as well, or you can read the stars. It's one of your things that it's something you're very, very good at. Bonds-wise, you have someone on this ship has racked up a debt and left you to pay the bill. Another one is you and someone else on the ship has spent a night huddled together in a snowstorm. Sometimes the snowstorms in Perranporth can be pretty icy because you're near the sea.
Those Cornish snowstorms, yes.
Exactly, those damn Cornish snowstorms. And you and someone else have once hunted a giant seal together. Also, one other, you never lose your way, but when you do, this person is the one you look to for guidance. If something has gone wrong, maybe you've been lost on a moor somewhere and you were thrown off, whether there was a fog or a mist, and you followed this person, you go to them when you get lost. So
yeah, I think the last one is the first one that strikes me. It seems to work quite well with Wyatt's kind of the fact that these two have hunted together, and I think maybe that's quite a nice way to explain how they first met, that she would have managed to lose herself, and I think this happened inland, like on land. Like you say, on the moors perhaps, and ran into Wyatt, and this is when they kind of struck up that kind of very kind of productive relationship and got to know each other, perhaps, if Wyatt is all right with that.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm looking at the others. They are kind of hilarious knowing what I know about my character.
You don't have to do it, but you may not have achieved.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking. I think... So I don't know a whole lot about Shepard yet. But Shepard has a ton of seafaring experience, after all. I think a lot of these things for Lamorna actually have happened fairly recently. And I think maybe before we formed our little group, I might have been on a boat with Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a hunting trip. And I think that the ship was hunting, as said in the bonds, a giant seal or like a pod of seals. They never managed to catch it, but for whatever reason, Lamorna was very was part of this crew and invested in this. And I think it might have been Shepard that was also in this hunting party. If that works with Shepard.
Okay. Oh yeah, definitely. And I loved what we worked out in Discord, where we're sort of privately friends and publicly a bit tense, and that's probably where we really developed that secret respect for each other.
I think so, certainly. Yeah. And for the last one, I think perhaps maybe on this, perhaps before she knew Wyatt, because Lamorna would have worked at like an inn or like something like that before kind of becoming a group with these people. And I think maybe she knew Douglas as a cook, perhaps, at some point. And maybe they went out on a supply run and got stuck in those freak Cornish snowstorms. And maybe they had to try and like help each other get through without freezing to death. And she kind of helped with her, I guess, knowledge of the wilderness with this kind of strider thing she's got going. They would have both kind of helped each other make it through an otherwise deadly encounter at a snowstorm, perhaps, if Douglas is all right with that one.
Douglas, does that seem like something you would do?
I was totally typing up my bonds from before. I'm so sorry.
It's alright, I got them in front of me.
What?
Douglas, we got stuck in a snowstorm. Oh no.
Yes, we did.
I remember when this happened. It was a dangerous time. But we survived, so it's okay.
I mean, I was alright. You didn't bring any, like, woolen gear or anything to protect the heat.
Oh
no,
my God,
she frequently will just stare at you and have no idea what you're saying.
Just really glad that Shepard's an American so I can understand his accent.
Welcome.
To
Somebody
be fair,
I can talk to.
Not many people understand the Glaswegian accent, so...
That's not Glasgow, that's Dundee.
No, I know, it's Dundee, that's what I mean.
I mean, the Cornish speak very slowly, so we're just like...
Perfect. Okay, that's all the bonds there, apart from Shepard. And Shepard, are you a mercenary, am I right in thinking?
Old Sea Dog.
Old Sea Dog. Oh, yes, one of my favorites. Hang on.
Wait, hang on, what kind of food you serve, like?
I don't serve food.
No, Douglas. Like...
Yeah, what food do you serve? Potatoes?
Something to make a pot roast.
I tried haggis once, and
haggis is a staple.
Oh.
You get used to it.
It weren't good.
Haggis is a staple. I probably made you a signature burger at one point, you know, with like your aye. With a patty on the bottom, right? Then a blood sausage patty on top of that, and then a haggis patty on top of that. And
I mean,
onion
so
rings on top of that there.
Do you know what century you're in? I mean...
No, I don't.
Y'all got any Mickey D's over here?
Douglas is a visionary. He's ahead of his time.
It's true.
All right. It's a sandwich, but I call it a burger for the first time.
You're in Cornwall. You can literally do a pasty type thing.
This is true. Why are you not making pasties?
It's out of pride.
Scottish pride.
Well, you see, we've got a thing up in Scotland that looks very similar. I can't remember the name of it now, but I refuse to make a
I'm just gonna slap down a pasty in front of you like at least 3 times a day.
And that would have had 2 fillings at the time, sweet and savory. So you got to think of that.
And you don't know which switch until you get it.
That's my fault. That was.
Yeah, we call it a bridie.
Well, it's just not the same. You can't take that in the mines.
It's also the name of my nan's dog, so we're not going to go there on that. Okay, so for the old sea dog, and it says, many years ago, you were a sailor. Actually, you're not really sure what you did before you left the sea. You were barely past a child when you served aboard your first ship. Now, having seen hundreds of storms and survived only by the sea's good grace, you have a wealth of knowledge and superstition. What you've seen before the vessel's decks, and many men would not think is real. You've stared at the sea so long that you can read its very moods and emotions, and you're fairly sure it's staring back. And you have a +2 to the beyond in this. And then you can allocate your +2, 2 zeros, and a -1 to your others.
Okay.
And you have something called the Sea Speaks. So whenever you handle or examine something interesting from the sea, you can roll a beyond, and it's like an investigation check. The other thing you have, your equipment is an old trinket, which can be anything you want. That can be anything at all. You also have a small hatchet, sturdy cloth vest, and a sailor's wage. But your bonds we have here are you have taught someone on the ship every single thing they know about the sea. Something else is you have told someone on here and that they're too impulsive, and if anything you think they're dangerous to have around. You know that someone else hears the sounds at night too. Someone else can hear something coming from the sea. And someone else's parents made you promise to keep them safe on this journey that you are about to take.
Should I say where I allocated the numbers?
You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to keep it a bit of a surprise.
No, I don't think there's a lot of, like, I'm a -1 on beauty, and everyone would be able to see that immediately. That's no surprise.
Is it because of like scars or things that you've had?
I mean,
when you've done that, or is
I've
it just
been
weathered? You've been weathered.
Yeah, I'm old before my time. Wrinkles from the wind.
Wrinkles
and the
from the wind. I love that.
And I think I'd be a +2 in balance because I've run around rigging for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, sea legs more than land legs. So that would make sense. And everything else is a 0. All right. So who I have taught everything, I'm feeling like Wyatt or Lamorna are 2 who haven't been on the ship all that much. Douglas has been there for a long time and probably kind of on par with me in terms of experience, or close at least. So Lamorna, I think we went on that hunting trip, and it seems to make sense that I taught you a lot about.
I think you taught me a lot about boats. I wouldn't say there's much you can teach her about the sea she doesn't know.
Okay. About sailing.
Yeah, I think definitely sailing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Unless it makes more sense for Wyatt.
There's a lot I don't know about boats. That's for sure.
Then maybe Lamorna, because I'm still working with you.
I came over here
still
on
teaching
one.
You. All right, I'll take Lamorna. And I think everything about sailing. I don't know everything. I didn't teach you about farming or physics or anything.
Nope.
Physics.
You pull the trigger and the bullets come out.
Yeah.
That's physics.
Yeah. Got it. Calls in effect.
Now, if I have to calm Douglas down when he gets upset, that makes it sound like perhaps Douglas gets a little impulsive at times. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah. What
Okay.
you mean?
I'll take that as a yes.
What do you mean you bored of my boiled salt pork, eh?
Are you Googling?
I am, all right. If you're going to call me out for cuisine, I'm going to go Google it.
He keeps impulsively defending these
What's wrong with my haggis burger?
Yeah, I know. And we're just like...
We're learning new things.
Yeah.
It's educational experience.
So Douglas, you think could be maybe a bit of a danger to the crew if he loses his temper, maybe. Okay.
Yeah. At the wrong time. All right, but hear sounds at night too. I feel like I need input on that one, y'all, because Lamorna, but I have 4 bonds. Do you mind being added another time, Lamorna? Because it seems like if you know the sea,
Yeah,
then you hear it speak. Yeah. But that leaves Wyatt, and I am American too, so perhaps I've met your parents.
If you have, I would like to know that.
I mean, whose parents would I have met?
You don't have to use all of them.
How much older than Wyatt are you? What if you made them a promise when he was younger?
That works. I mean, I'm like late 40s
or
early 50s.
Or if Wyatt had that friend that he's reminded of, maybe promised that I'll keep an eye on him. Maybe Wyatt doesn't know that. Wyatt doesn't have to know that.
So Wyatt's former partner, yeah?
You talking about Ricky Dean?
Yeah, that's exactly who I'm talking about.
I want to hear that conversation.
Made me promise to keep him safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my old boy, Ricky Dean Beauregard.
At some point, he ended up in Baltimore, and we had a long conversation.
What y'all doing in Baltimore, Ricky Dean? Y'all need to come on home.
We'll make it work. That works for me. All right. No wonder I've been working with you, Wyatt. I'm trying to keep your head on your shoulders.
Thank you very much to Inwills, who donated to gift Wyatt Peterson 3 advantages. Also, thank you very much to Ken, who gifted a sub to Kai, and Kai, you have an advantage to gift as well. Also, it doesn't look like Gwyn is in chat, so I'm going to look at the person who tweeted before Gwyn, and we'll see if we've. Or actually, no, maybe we can do it a different way. Maybe we can just do it the next person who retweets. Is Cleric of Cord in chat? I'll sort that out in chat. You carry on.
Okay. So that's everyone with their bonds all done. So what we are going to do, however, and some people may have secrets tied to this, whether it wants to be revealed or whether to go through it. We go through the descriptors, and there is a wide range of descriptors where everyone can choose one and look at it, and it will give effectively like special moves, and it also gives a bit more characteristic to individual characters itself. Has everyone chosen one? Or okay. Shepherd, we've just done yours. Which one have you gone for?
True believer.
You are the believer. So the believer is all about using the power of their religion to direct and influence how others behave, whether it's act like a person or maybe use it in a different way. Religion was incredibly important in the 1800s. My goodness, was it? In life. And as a result, the believer holds a lot of social power. So you will have a lot of influence, whether it's over crowds, over people in general. There's things going on like famine, and it's a bit rough in the 1800s, so a lot of people did turn to religion and God. You effectively have 2 special moves for this, down later or whatever, but you've got the spiritual fire, which determines the reaction of an entire group, crowd, mob, maybe your shipmates, all together, to show them faith. This doesn't it doesn't affect player characters in the sense that whatever you say goes, but say there's a big group of people and you need to motivate them, this is something you can do. Maybe you have a speech or something, and that will empower these people. You also have righteous censor, which is, it's like targeting specific people in the crowd. So if there is a crowd in a public setting, this can affect both player and non-player characters. If you roll a 10 plus, what happens in this is you roll 2 dice and then you add whatever is in your well, you click the button and it rolls it for you, but you technically rolling 2d6 plus the modifier, which is in your thing. If a non-player chooses to heed the believer's words in silence, they are accepting your words and your authority as a believer. So you are whether they are doing it begrudgingly or not is down to the individual, but they will accept your word as the authority there and then. Scrat, what is yours?
I'm not looking up right now. The Confidant. Or the Confidant.
Oh, okay. The
You prefer-
Confidant. Okay. The Confidant is a social chameleon who seeks out the secrets of others and uses them for their own ends. The Confidant tracks the secrets they have learned and can spend 1-to-1, or you can take a number of actions for this. So what we will do, and we'll do it probably not in this session so that everyone has a secret, you all need to tell Douglas something secret about your character. So my so when I've played this before, I played the Confidant and I was a doctor, and I knew one of my people on board was ill, but they didn't want to appear weak in front of everyone else, so I was the only one who knew that, and things like that. So it's just, it doesn't have to be big, it can be as small as you want, but there is a secret that he knows. So you can use a move called Inside Knowledge, Douglas, and it enables you to discover secrets, normally with non-player characters. So it's almost like you're calling their bluff, seeing if they're lying, sort of thing. And also, if you approach another player or another NPC with intimacy or one-on-one, you Confidant must approach in a context of genuine trust, frankness, friendship, affection. So you can't do this aggressively. You're not going like, tell me your secrets, like, you're not doing that sort of thing. You have to do this by winning their friendship over. Just being on your own with someone doesn't trigger this move, just by being on your own. So an example like trust, you could have say you and Lamora, you trusted each other to survive on that moor in the snowstorm, and maybe you told each other something whilst you were there. If you didn't think you were going to come out of it alive, maybe you know something about her. Frankness is you. It's maybe one of you was on like the example it says gives them death's door. You thought they weren't going to survive, and you told them something, but then when you survive, you're like, please don't tell anyone, sort of thing. And one of them could be a genuine friendship where you have sat down in an inn and had a pint together and told something that you've never told anyone else before, just out of friendship. So that's what you would do.
Oh my, Isriva has just donated to make everyone roll on the Wild Surge table. We've also received 10 retweets, Alice. I've already sent you that Isriva rolled a 76, so please look up your trinket table for a 76.
Yes, I will.
Isriva, we have 4 players, so if you could type roll 4 times, we'll take those rolls and apply them to our characters. This is a new thing! Now chat can roll the Wild Magic Surges.
Hang on, let me write this. So that's 5. And it's a trinket list, just so everyone's aware. Not Wild Magic Surge.
Okay,
Okay.
18,
I'm
96.
new.
Okay.
Am I doing something or just listening?
You are fine.
You're fine.
Okay.
That is for me. That is for me. So what I will do, as we're setting up, once I've done all this, I'm going to go through and give you each an extra trinket on this that you will have as. So now, Wyatt, what did you choose as your descriptor?
Well, okay, so I was torn between a few.
Okay, well, we can look at those and you tell me which one you fancy after that.
Right. So the kinsman, do I need to be closely tied? Do I need to know be around my family, or
it doesn't have to be your family. You could think of your shipmates as your family. You could think of maybe if you trust Shepherd implicitly, maybe you think so it's kind of like one of the moves is called Know Your Kin. So whenever you have so if you know part of Shepherd's extended family, again, it might not be blood relatives, you might know who they work with, you might family, relatives, friends. You can kind of have a connection with them, like they're going to help you. If you ask them something, or they're going to trust you because you are close to shepherds.
The old sheriff in my hometown was like a father figure to me. So
yeah,
everything I know in the world
okay.
comes from him. So I think the kinsman fits me pretty good. It was either going to be that or I was going to be a werewolf.
I mean, it could be something like that.
I feel like Matt, I feel like Wyatt and Shepard we should probably talk too, since your background's sort of linked with mine, since I know somebody who knows you. So we may want to chat.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is, Wyatt, you draw on family reputation, your reputation, knowledge, tradition. You basically have a good knowledge of the way of the world. Maybe this could be linked through Shepard as well, if Shepard's been at sea for a long time and you've both come from a similar place. You have, it says, so during this character creation, you this opportunity, basically, you define the nature of the family that supports you. So that would be Shepard, that would have been the sheriff that taught you. It gives you that sort of knowledge on that side of thing. Okay. And last but certainly not least, Lamorna. I think we know what you're going for, don't we?
Yes, I think we all do.
I think we do. So you have an interesting one. So you are going for the creature. And
oh, nice.
the creature.
Werewolf.
I mean, it would have been hilarious to have two in the group.
Yeah.
A creature is not, in fact, human at all. They come from another place and hide a different form beneath the human skin. So you look human, doesn't mean you are human. You can use, so your abilities are true form, where as the creature you can take on your true form, and by this you will be able to use your true form to aid the party or aid a situation or something to that effect. However, this does obviously cause the risk of discovery and exposure as to what you actually are. You don't have to say what you are in this, just saying. When the creature takes on its true form, you can overcome danger or surprise of for the enemy. So they can't, if you change, they can't have a surprise sort of attack on you or anything like that. And it triggers the move, "This is who I am." And those who see the creature take on their true form will never ever forget. They might not necessarily know exactly why it happened, or if they saw it for real. That will be a roll, whether it's the sea playing tricks on them or anything like that. However, the creature may take precautions such as you can disappear out of sight. You know, you can Superman it. You can walk into a telephone box and whiz around and become whatever you want. You can, if you want to go and hide and then take on your true form, that can help prevent the discovery. It depends on how serious the situation is at the time. Okay. So you effectively just have "this is who I am," and that's more of a trigger for other people rather than yourself. But one other thing we're going to do before we take a break and talk a little bit more about characters before we get into some actual roleplay is I wasn't doing it next week, but we're going to do it now. We're going to create the ship. We're going to create the ship that you are all going to be a part of as you go on this journey. Now, the first question, and it can change, obviously, this isn't directing the game or anything in any way. Is there a reason for you to all get on this ship? Is it discovery? Is it, are you traveling to maybe get back to America? Are you going, heading in that direction? You're like, no, I'm not going there. But is there something or are you trying to escape? Are you traveling somewhere else because there's nothing left for all of you in this tiny little village? What do we all think?
I think for Lamorna, it'll probably be the latter option, the last one you said. She seems very keen just to leave this little fishing town.
Okay.
my thought for Shepard is this ship is my home. I don't have anywhere to escape from or to. This is my place. So that's why I'm there.
Is this a ship? Sorry, go on.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say, is this a ship maybe you've been on before? Like, and it's...
That's what I'm hoping for, at least. So my thought is, like, there's a fairly consistent crew. There's a captain who I've worked under, who I have loads of respect for, and this ship, as far as Shepard is concerned, this is my ship. My ship. So at least that was my thought, if that works in terms of, like, the beginning story that you want.
Okay, yeah, no, that works completely. Sorry, Douglas, what was that?
I think Douglas has a place, like, in Perranporth, but I think it's tiny, and, like, he's laid it out exactly like the ship galley. Like, so, like, it's just like his little cook, like, that's just where he lives, you know? So being on the ship or on land, all that happens is when he's on land, he walks funny.
You sort of walk side to side as you do. You're too used to being on a ship.
I've got that sort of, you know, gait.
Okay, perfect. And why would Wyatt be getting on the ship?
Well, I'm looking for someone.
Okay.
He came over on a boat too, and he said he's got family over here.
Okay.
My family's from Ireland.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to
Originally.
the Irish accent.
Yeah, I missed out on that one. I'll say my family. My dad is.
Okay.
He came back. I kept his name though.
Perfect. Okay. So you find that you all have a common cause to be on this ship. Effectively, it's almost like a mutual beneficial thing. So first of all, you do have a captain, because no one has chosen captain, and you know Captain Jonathan Reed. He is probably a man in his sort of mid-30s, so probably for this he's not an older gentleman, but he's getting on. He seems to be Shepard. You may have known him beforehand. He may have been your captain before. You know him to be a very fair but very strict captain. His word goes. However, he does listen to his crew. He does value all of their words and what their opinions are. But he is also very weathered, and he knows this, or he believes he knows the sea like the back of his hand. The other thing you will know is that he has come to you a lot, Shepard, because you are a believer. He is a religious man. Sometimes there was probably a position where he worried about something he saw at sea. He didn't know if he was seeing what he was really seeing. He'd been at the sea for a long time. He is originally from Perranporth, so some of you might know him as well. Wyatt, you might have just seen him around, whether it's contacting him to come aboard his ship. Otherwise, when he's not sailing, he's sort of an ex-mercenary. And he's a very well-to-do, probably proper stand. He stands up very, very straight. He almost marches most places. And Douglas, he would have definitely eaten your food a lot. You know, he doesn't eat a whole lot of food. He believes that having a half-empty stomach makes you work harder. And Lamorna, how would he have known you? Would he seen you anywhere? What's you sort of hold position-wise?
So until recently, Lamorna has been... she would have done hunting and general kind of labourer work in and around Perranporth. In fact, she, for a long time, for probably like nearly 10 years, probably, has been working for a fairly wealthy family that lives on the outskirts of Perranporth as a general, I guess, as I say, like probably slightly outside the normal realms for like female staff. Would have been doing a lot of kind of trapping, hunting, general more labourer style work than kind of, I guess, traditional female occupation. And yeah, she's worked there for about 10 years, but she did a lot also. She worked a lot with fisheries, as this fairly wealthy family was into kind of the fishing business. So she would have worked down on the docks, especially doing a lot of kind of probably a lot of crustacean, like crab hunt, crab farming, that kind of thing. There's a lot of that going on, like crab traps and nets and stuff that she would have done. And probably seeing that she has got this kind of knack for basically picking up any job that needs doing, and a lot of kind of hunter food gathering chores. That's probably where she came in handy. And Perranporth isn't and wasn't a massive town, so I guess you don't necessarily have a huge pool of laborers to choose from when you need to hire crew, maybe in a pinch. So I think that's maybe how she started working aboard this ship. And recently she essentially has broken away from this wealthy family and kind of stopped working for them. And I think that's when she would have taken up contract to work aboard the ship, which she would have seemed very keen to do.
Okay, perfect. Right. So, first of all, we need a name for the ship. That is the first thing we need. So, are there any suggestions? This ship it's not belonged to any mercenary or anything like that before. This is effectively from scratch. This has been made by Jonathan, or commissioned effectively by Captain Reed. So what would we like to call this ship?
Ask a question real quick.
Of course.
Is it more used for fishing, for hunting, for transport, passengers or goods?
It's transport and goods, so like definitely takes people, but won't be like loads and loads of people. It's normally the crew, and whether it's spices that Wyatt's definitely stealing from, or whether it's just goods, like it's just
privateering.
goods. Yeah.
We never do anything illegal.
I don't know the first thing about naming no sea carriages.
Mm-hmm.
I have a thought because I was prepping for this and listening to a bunch of sea shanties, which is really fun. And there's one called Roll the Old Chariot. So I was thinking Chariot might be a fun name for the ship.
I like that.
The chariot's cute. I like that.
Yeah.
Chariot. We're going to go for the chariot. Okay. Sorry, as I write this down so that I make sure I don't forget. And then we're going to go round and everyone give a very distinctive feature. Give 2 distinctive features. You can do one first and then we'll circulate around again. And this could be anything from a lavish kitchen, which I'm guessing with Douglas is not going to be a lavish kitchen, a smuggling compartment, maybe there's a section for live cargo like cows and sheep and stuff like that, depending on what it's going. This is literally, you go all out. Is there something you want on this ship or that you would have requested on this ship? And we will actually start with Douglas because we may as well go to Douglas about the kitchen. Kitchen.
It's a wee place. And no windows or anything like that. Got a wee pot. Well, I say wee, it's oversized, a big thing.
The opposite of wee.
Aye, but it's my wee pot, you can. So there's mostly storage, lots of dried peas, dried rice, dried beans, dried haggis, salted meat, salted beef, some corned beef, some salted pork, some tinned tuna.
Okay, you might not have tin tuna, just as a heads up.
All right, then salted tuna.
Everything salted.
And of course, this is where we keep all of the wine and hard liquor, because we need to make sure that crew are getting the right vitamins, and the best way to do that is drinking wine.
Okay.
Sure,
Perfect.
that works.
And then we're gonna think of one more as we hop down the circle. We head to Rachel. Is there something you would add to this ship?
Okay. Am I gonna sneeze? I don't know. Is that really weird between feeling? Anyway, I think something that could be fun to have. Not that I don't think Lamorna would necessarily have any interest in it at all, but I think every ship, even a little merchant vessel, needs somewhere in the brig that you could potentially throw someone who's done a bad thing. I think we need like
Ship jail.
we need like a brig jail.
Nice little ship jail.
Or conversely, it could be used to store really precious cargo that we don't want anyone pinching, even if we were raided on the high seas.
So sort of like a locked, secure area.
On the other hand, it could also function as a drunk tank if we're all living on wine to cure scurvy.
Yay, fruit.
It's got grapes in it.
It's a well-used drunk tank. Like, it's been well trod.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we're going to hop around to Matt. And also one thing I will say is that this can even be down to like the decoration on the ship, like what's on the front of the ship or anything like that. It can literally be anything. So, Matt, your turn.
2 things I want. First thing, to utilize my marksmanship and surprise attack capabilities. You're going to want one of them kind of medieval situations, like a window that you can't see good into, but you can see real great out of. You know, like the bowmen used to use in the castles and stuff.
So kind of like the cannon portholes then, but
Right.
like skinnier.
That's right, but real skinny for a rifle. Or not a rifle. I use my revolver, but it's kind of like a rifle. It in my hands. Anyways, second thing, I need like a safe spot.
A safe spot. Is this like a cabin or is this something else?
Something to get away from the water.
Okay.
Something where I don't got to see the water, where just about it, I can forget that I'm even around water.
Okay. There can be like a cabin or something which you could have either had made or something where you have made it to block out everything. So you've got blinds. It's literally just lamps in there. There's nothing else. You've blocked off all the windows. You've requested that your cabin is completely like locked down. It's effectively a box, like a room you can walk into.
Right. Yeah.
Your bed's in there. You've got oil lamps in there and whatever you need.
It can be small. That's fine. I just
Okay.
Safe spot.
Okay. Perfect. And then we're going to hop around to Shepherd.
I have 2 things too, but I don't want to hop the order. So I'll say the most important one for my character would be I'd like to have the senior part of the crew, but I probably don't rank having my own cabin. So somewhere in a corner of like the hold where everybody sleeps, I've set up like a little bookshelf, secure so that the books can't fall off. And I kind of have a lending library. Not that many people like it, but I'm very well read for a sailor. I'll pass around my complete works of Shakespeare to anybody who wants it. It's there in the corner for anyone who wants. And of course, the Holy Bible is there. There's some history of the saints, some illustrated history of the saints. Like anything that I can collect at various ports, I have there for anybody who wants it.
Okay, perfect. And then we're going to go back around to Douglas. You got another one, Douglas? Is it what the ship looks like? Is it another? Is there like a dining area, or do people just sit out on deck?
Yeah, I think people sit out on deck. There is like I think because I'm the confidant, right? I think there's like one seat in the galley where people can sit, and they might get scraps. They might get some scraps like cooking. Not always. You need to tell me things.
Okay.
Give me the whispers.
The whisper chair is what I'm gonna write for that. Okay.
So is that like a confessional?
I kinda.
You some kind of sea priest.
The cook is now the sea priest instead of the believer.
Yeah, and you get beef jerky instead of communion. It's very strange.
It's kind of cooking witch.
You know, it's different, but it works.
And Rachel, can I have another one, please?
I think the last thing that I think would be quite important is I think this ship would have at least 1 or 2 well-made kind of like dinghy boats, which are held on the side of the boat so that you can easily kind of access the sea. if kind of need to go out to do like fishing closer to the water or like nets, trawling, put out like traps or whatever. Kind of just useful for that kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. Matt, have you got any more, or did you want to just leave the two you had?
Just the two is fine.
Yeah. Shepherd, one last one.
I probably have like little notches and stuff. If there was like extra rifles.
Oh, there'll be like a gun cabinet effect.
Okay, I personally don't use rifles, but I'm just making sure everybody else all good to go in case we need to post up.
Perfect. Okay, and Shepherd, one last one.
Well, I think if we're called the chariot, then I think the prow is the thing that sticks out of the front of the boat, right?
The bow, yeah.
But like the thing that's decorated.
Oh, the figurehead.
Yeah, the figurehead.
Yes. Okay, I need to study. If I'm going to be the old sea dog, I really need to study these terms. Like
that
I actually
side of the boat.
Right. I have a chart in my notes that are like bow, stern, starboard, port, so that I can get it right. So the sticky outy thing on the front, because we're called the chariot, I feel like it could be a carving of Minerva with like the Roman helmet, and carved as if she's sort of riding the chariot and like bravely leaning forward out onto the sea.
Like a big old spear.
Yeah, definitely. And that Roman crest helmet, and yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to give you each a trinket when we start role playing. There's going to be something in that whilst we do that. So actually, Scrat, are we okay to do a break a little bit earlier so that we can get straight into role playing? Should we do that?
By all means. So we'll take a break and then come back and launch into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay then, everyone. So take this opportunity. We're going to go and stretch our legs, grab a drink, grab a bio, do all that good stuff. And we suggest that you do the same. If you are a subscriber, you will get to look at our poster for 5 minutes. If you're not, you can see some lovely Twitch ads. Yeah, and soon I know I'll be uploading a picture of Douglas for this break as well, so you can look at the figurine of Douglas. But I was actually kind of half working on that in the background, but we'll get that soon. All right, so we'll be back in around 5 minutes. Have a good break, everyone. Oh, hi everyone, we're back. We have hit 20 retweets. But the person who tweeted doesn't seem to be in chat. So the next person who retweeted was C4 7. C4 7, shout out now, or we'll go for the next person who retweets.
So is that 6 trinkets?
Yes.
This is fine. Okay, so we're going to jump in. The ocean is beautiful. Some say it's home. Romantic tales come from the dark waters, and sometimes you can look into the eyes of others and see that they are borrowed from the sea. They walk the shores when the time comes. They stand on the cliff's edge and watch the sunrise. Watching, a strange song sometimes sings on their lips. If you listen closely, you may first hear it on the breeze. They're not of this world, or earth, or sun, but of water and blue. And we find ourselves in Perranporth in Cornwall. The day is grey. My cat is shredding my notes on the bed. And which you can't stop it. Sorry, I need these notes. It's a cooler day. It's the end of summer, entering autumn. Sort of early October, late September, and the breeze is cool. And the sea today seems to be pretty calm. The waves are lapping up against the shore, but it's the color of the sea. I'm not sure if people do it the same way that we do in England. Today, it is a very grey-blue color, rather than that sort of green blue that it is on a much brighter day. And on this day, where do we find Douglas? Whereabouts is he in the town of Perranporth? Is he in the town?
He's going walking around town, looking at the wee pasties, and sort of generally, he always does everything cooking. Cooking's his life, you know. You can. So he's looking at all the local cuisine and he always insists on going up to the pasty shop and asking for a bridie.
And you tend to get the same look every time, where they sort of look at you slightly funny, gesture to these pasties that seem to be laid out in front of you. You can smell that fresh baked smell of the pastry. You can smell both the savoury and sweet, half and half in each pasty, because a pasty was a meal back then. It was main and desserts. You can smell toasted apple and sugar. It's not super sweet because there isn't a load of sugar available at the moment. But you can smell the cooking of beef, carrots, just almost like a stew, as it's being placed into these pastries and basically cooked over this fire.
Right. Well, see, this is the thing, right? I've got this great idea. Because you can't take a bridie on a ship, right? The pastry, it just goes all rotten. It doesn't last. Okay. But you can make hardtacks, right? Wee biscuits made with wheat and water. So here's my thought. What if I was to make a bridie using stew and hardtacks?
Now, the amazing thing you've done here, Scrat, is what an original pasty was, where you didn't eat the pastry, but you ate what was inside of it. Would you like to create this? Is what I'm gonna ask you.
So, like, hardtacks are like a cracker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like to think that you could still eat it, you know?
Yeah.
That's the...
So what have you come into this pasty shop asking for these separate things, or?
No, I'm just here to annoy them.
Okay, that's fair enough.
You can eat the bowl if the bowl's made out of bread, right? It's like a bread bowl.
Yeah. Exactly like that, except crackers instead of bread. My problem at the minute, though, is whenever I put the stew inside the hardtacks goes soft and fall apart.
So you've come in here to annoy the local, what?
Aye.
Baker? Okay.
Aye.
You get the same look as you get every single morning when you go in to annoy this poor pasty maker. As one of them stands behind the counter, you can see a few out back. In fact, you can hear that voice of Agatha at the back going, "If he's in here again, tell him to get out." And as you can hear, and there's the sort of fairly youngish boy behind the counter who looks slightly nervous by the fact that you've come in again. And he's sort of looking down at his hands to say, she says if you ain't come in here to buy a,
Nay, laddie, I need to ken. That one down there, not that een, the een on top, the een on top,
this one?
What's in that een?
It's beef. It's beef.
Aye.
Beef. That one is, it's got a lot of potato, onions, pretty simple really. But in the other half it's baked apple. It smells real good.
I don't want that een. How about this een over here?
Well, that's the same, but with chicken.
I don't want that een either. Ken, maybe I don't want the bridie.
And you can hear from the back again that very burly, that voice you recognize of Agatha, which you know is a very small, very round woman, red-faced, from being over the firefly. It's just like, he's just winding you up, chuck him out. And this young boy is like, if you ain't gonna buy a pastry, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Sorry.
Well, you can. I might get a bridie yet.
It's okay.
How about this scene on there?
That's beef again. We only have beef and chicken.
No like vegetables or fungus ones.
Well, I mean, it's in the beef.
Did you not have mushroom?
And this boy pauses, and you can hear this absolute clatter of iron pans and that march, which you hear probably every morning.
No, time to go. See you later.
You see this very red-faced woman, bright, fiery red hair, sort of tied up in a bun on the top of her head. Do you run? Like, are you running out the door?
I don't run, but I hot foot. I'm gonna pick up my pace. Well, lovely speaking to you.
You sort of leave the door. You hear a little yelp from this young boy that's basically shoved out the way as Agatha comes storming around the kitchen. She hangs out at the door, effectively shaking her fist and a ladle at you, and it's just like, if you come in tomorrow, and sort of like trails off as you just have this abuse as you head off down this cobbled street, almost at a slight slant. You almost, as you sort of make a help out of there, you almost hit one of the cows that is being led through the street by one of the local TTP, taking it to market. And it's quite a bustle. You almost step on some of the chickens in the street as they come out.
Get out of here.
There's a lot of people out today. You can definitely smell that fresh sea air as it comes and hits you. You can see a lot of a mixture of grizzle-faced, very weathered-faced. They've definitely been in the salt air for a long time. People pulling up these carts full of fish, but it's definitely not as much as it used to be. There's more sort of a couple of crates sat on a cart that's far too big for the amount of fish that is coming in. And there are a lot of houses lining the street. Here and there you can see some kids laughing and playing. A bucket of water gets thrown out the window, which sort of just about misses you. And you hear that creak, that sort of that of the metal chains on the inn as it swings.
I imagine I've come into town, it must be to get supplies for this journey that I know is coming up, right? I must know about the journey. So, as ship, as cook, cook off, and also cook and quartermaster often go hand in hand. So I guess I'll be buying food and supplies for the upcoming. So I'll be looking over this fish cart.
Yeah, it's moving as you go. This isn't at the market, but it's moving as you go. You do recognize.
I'll hop up on the side for a second, and have a good look in while it's rolling.
You do have, you do recognize one of the fishermen. They sort of feel the weight on their cart go, and George looks back at you. He's in this, sort of this, just a shirt and a cotton sort of kind of like knit thing that's been over. His wife makes them. They're probably some of the ugliest things you've ever seen, but you know that he has to wear them otherwise. You've received one yourself over the festive season.
No. One thing they don't know down here is how to do good wool knits, not like back home. Wait, I'm just looking to trigger Rachel all the time. George, he's what are these kippers?
We got kippers, we've got flatfish. I've got a couple of shrimp, and I've got a whole bag of mussels.
Do they salt well?
Mussels, no.
Well, not the mussels, the kippers. I'm thinking for our next journey,
My wife does a great thing where you put them in, those terracotta pots, store them in lard, salt, great, last you forever.
Do you sell them like that, do you?
I can do.
Aye, you should. It's a good idea, that.
Well, I've just come down from the beach, so I can bring them down at the market later.
Aye, what time?
Give me an hour. As he
do
sort
I
of
know
checks and looks
do I
at
know how many
this,
weeks we'll be at sea?
The plan is to just be 2 weeks at sea.
Alright, yeah, I want at least 3, maybe 4.
Yeah, no, I can do that for you. I got that. And he sort of checks the scratch dial on the side of the building where you can see. Scratch dial is, for anyone who doesn't know, it's almost like a sundial, literally scratched into the side of a building, normally churches, where a stick is normally put in the center and it tells the time of day. There are clocks, but you can tell this man has been looking at this for probably his whole life. Give me an hour. Meet me down by the shoreline, by market.
Alright, and I
Yeah, whatever you said. And he sort of keeps walking, and you can hear that trundle of the cart, and that sort of that moo of a cow that sort of seems to be following. You can see it tied to the back.
Whatever I said, you cheeky wee cockwobble.
Sorry, I haven't heard that phrase in a while.
What?
And where does Douglas shuffle off to?
Carry on to market.
Okay, you head down, and in Perranporth you can see some stone steps that make their way down. Very, very cobbled. You can see it's awful to get things up and down. Off there is a slight ramp, stones as well, which you can see some of the park going down. And there is a raised ledge in the town. You can see this pretty bustling village. You can hear people shouting and yelling at this market. There's all of these stalls that are being set up for the day. You can see what seems to be a lot of root vegetables, mainly things like onions.
Don't want any of that. I'll take onions. Onions are good for soup.
There's a few potatoes and some other things like leeks and stuff, but there's not a whole lot. There is, however, you can see one man there, so as he sets up. You can tell he's probably sort of some sort of forager, as you see these huge bowls piled up with samphire cockles and sort of dried out seaweed.
No, I don't stand for any of that green stuff, alright? Not in my kitchen. But I don't mind apples. And I know that we need at least some kind of fruit on board, right? To make sure that we're all staying healthy or something like that. Captain's always talking about it.
You recognize there's a younger woman. She's probably only about 18 years old, and you know her as Harriet because she, her family is probably one of the only family to own an orchard. It's kind of their thing. They do pressed cider a lot of the time as well.
Exactly what I was hoping for. Say no more. I don't care about the rest of it. I want pressed cider.
You can approach her. She looks at you. She's got a big sort of wicker basket, which has been clearly woven, piled up with all of these apples, and she's just like, "Oh, hello, Douglas.
Hey, Harriet, all right?
What can I get you?"
Cider.
Of course. How much is this? Is this for your travels?
2 weeks at sea. So, 2 barrels. How much is a barrel?
Let me ask Father, and you can see this man that seems to be heaving these barrels and these kegs, and also these big sort of heavy ceramic containers with cork stoppers in, where you can see he's painted onto the side his brand name, and he sort of lifts them over. You can see a quick conversation. And she wanders back over. He's like, she can do the same. He said he can do the same as last time.
Do I know his name?
You know Peter, yeah. He's a pretty God-fearing man.
Hey, so I'm gonna like call back. Hey, Peter! I'm buying 2, not on the same price as last time. You off your heed? I'll give you and what is the currency here?
I'm trying to remember now. My brain's gone blank.
Are you going like Old English?
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you 2 shillings for the pair.
And you can hear like some sort of muffled like yell back as it's just like, you gotta be kidding, right? I gave you the last one on. In fact, you said you were gonna pay me more last time, and you never did.
Hey.
Don't hear me. You pay it or not?
2 shillings. It's a good deal. Take it.
3, and I'll throw in some apples.
2 shillings and a halfpenny.
You are pushing it, and you can see Harriet like with her hands up, Dad, like trying to calm him down a bit. Fine, take it, but never come back.
Oh, don't give me all that. You know I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and you'll be selling me cider. No one else buys it.
You know that this guy has this argument with you every single time. And you see him sort of wave his hand off, and Harriet starts to make a note. She's like, "Do you want to send up to the kitchens?"
Straight to the chariot.
Straight to the chariot. I've seen it. It looks amazing.
Aye. And thank ye, Harriet. You're very reasonable, unlike your pa.
Please don't wind him up.
And I'll carry on through the market in very much the same theme.
Okay, where can we find Shepherd today?
I am on the chariot unless they force me off.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I like to stay. So I think I would be almost obsessively patching any holes, making everything as clean, and any new crew members I'd be orienting to the ship, and just singing humming a little shanty under my breath. And just very cheerfully making sure that everything's in good order on my ship.
You can see Captain Reed sort of, he looks not panicked, sort of worried. He's just very much on a mission as he moves around telling people what to do. You can see barrels being loaded on. You can see lots of cases being stacked up. He's going up and down, disappearing into the cabins here and there. And there's a moment where you can see quite a few people are getting on board, loading on. They're not all going to be coming with you. They're just loading. And there's someone up on the mast adjusting the sails, making sure that they're all in order. You can see people checking the small, almost like dinghies, like these little lifeboats that are strapped to the side, securing everything down. You see a very, very young cabin boy, arms full of rifles as he runs down beneath the deck. sort of runs down and he's what? And he sort of almost drops them as he quickly.
I'm going to help you carrying these. Careful with. You never know what's loaded, and you never carry them like that. So
I'm going to go put them in the case. Captain said so.
Yes, yeah, and do what the captain said, but let's put them in the case safely. We wouldn't want to be shooting anybody in the foot or somewhere worse.
I'm not pointing at my foot.
Right, you almost dropped them.
And he sort of looks at you and almost does like a little bit of a lean in. He's like, I heard there's another American coming on board.
Oh, really? Interesting. We all know each other, you know. It's a very small country.
But all Americans know all Americans.
Oh, yes, we all know each other.
Kind of like Perranporth, then. Everyone knows everyone's business.
Yes, about the same size, actually.
America's only the same size as Perranporth. And you can see that this kid is like 9. This kid is 9. He's got very, very sort of mousy blonde hair. It looks that maybe it was smart when he left this morning, and now he's been ordered around a lot, and it's gone slightly wild. You could see he's in a shirt, and we can like he's sort of little trousers and boots. In fact, not boots, those tiny little shoes that you lace up. You can guess they're probably his best, as they look that maybe it's a little shiny. But he smiles and he's like, so there's going to be 2 of you on this ship.
That's very special. We're very special people. We all see mermaids.
Wait. Mom said they ain't real. They're dangerous, aren't they?
They're real. Well, they're not dangerous to Americans. They're our friends.
Americans are okay with mermaids.
Yes, we're actually very good friends. All of us from the small town of America are good friends with mermaids.
You're pulling my leg.
I'd never do that. And at this point, I'm also helping him with the rifles, and sort of as I'm messing with him, I'm helping him put the rifles away and like do what he needs to do that safely, and trying to sort of instruct him without obviously instructing him.
Yeah, you can see that he's sort of following you down, and you go down into the cabin. Those creaky steps. You can feel the boat, the ship sort of bobbing slightly in the water as you see the pontoon is lined up. And you see a huge cabinet, which looks to be where you see all the rifles would sit in. And he sort of like heads over there. He sort of half drops them, half puts them down on the bed, and he starts like propping them. They're bigger than him. Like this kid shouldn't be like, he would never fire one. It's too big. As he starts to put them in this cabinet. He's like, I'm coming on the trip too, you know.
Oh, that's wonderful. Is this your first trip on a ship?
Yes, it is. And he's like, he looks very happy with himself. He's like, I'm gonna be cabin boy. You see, Captain's my uncle.
Oh my goodness. That's very special. What's your name?
James Reed. Master Reed. My name is Master Reed.
Master Reed. All right. It's wonderful to meet you. So what do you know about sailing?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I can sail a dinghy. I've been out there and I've gone crabbing and shrimping, but I ain't done nothing else.
It's exactly the same.
It is?
If you know how to sail a dinghy, you're going to be just fine. It's exactly the same. A little more complicated, actually, but mostly the same.
I mean, I think I'm mainly like, you know, fetching stuff for the captain.
Oh no, they'll have you steering in no time.
He looked a little bit like excited by that. He's like, really?
Well, whenever they have me do anything like that, you come over to me and you can do it with me.
Okay. Yeah. No,
okay.
I'll do. And as long as I got all my chores done, because you know, I don't want to get in no trouble for that. Mom said I got to be real good on this one, and then they'll have me back.
Exactly. Do you want to be a sailor for your life?
And he just does like a fairly happy nod.
It's a wonderful life, and I'm going to help you get started in it.
Okay. Yeah. I can do that. I can. Yeah. And he sort of does that really awkward like salute again. And he's and from up above deck, you can just hear the voice you recognize as your captain is James, like, and he's like, I've really got to go, and he sort of
Better get going.
sprints. You see him all as you can see he's not quite used to the rock yet, as you see him sort of almost hit the side of the steps as he keeps running, looks back briefly to smile, but keeps going.
Watch out for mermaids.
And you can hear him like, man, like, on the way up as he's almost trying to mentally remember this.
And I will actually, after he's left, I'll straighten the rifles and make sure they're actually in the way that they're supposed to be and secure the cabinet.
Yeah, you can do the small, like, latches that go over the side, close the cabinet, make sure it's all gone across. And as you come out of that cabin, you can see there is a lower deck. You know that there is a room at the far back, off to the right, which belongs to Wyatt, which you know because there's literally a door in and there's nothing else in there. You can see someone going in there to light lamps. You can smell something coming from the kitchen. There's not necessarily cooking, but you can smell that all the herbs, there's lots of dried herbs in there. You can see some people rolling barrels into there. As you walk past, it is cluttered. Like, you can tell from a mile off this is Douglas's. There are so many makeshift shells, things stacked on each other. In your head, all of this should fall over with one sway of the ship, but somehow he's managed to do something with it that keeps it fine. And the other thing that you do see is someone you have met maybe once or twice, fairly decent friends, and that is the doctor of the ship doctor. As he comes out of this, he calls the surgery. It's not. It's basically a table in a room, and there is a few cabinets in there with what little things he has. And you know this is Henry Sallow. And he's like, Shepherd, you're on this trip as well?
Oh, of course. I wouldn't leave the chariot.
This is a good point. Anyway, and he sort of starts to walk up on deck, sort of gesturing for you to follow him.
I'll follow.
You sort of step up on deck, and there's that creak, and there's people rushing around, but you know this Dr. Henry has always had a very steady hand. He has, but it's almost like he glides across the top of the ship as if the motion does absolutely nothing to him. Doesn't bother him at all. And he smiles and takes in like a deep breath. You see his chest expand. He's like, oh God, it's good to be back. Thank God. I walk funny on land now.
Yeah, I avoid it as much as possible.
Well, from what I hear, it's going to, the sea, we may be leaving a day early. The sea seems to, and he sort of looks out over this ocean, and he's a bit like you. There's something, he seems to read the sea more than what he's told. There's something unsettling in her at the moment. I think it's
a
better
bit gray.
we leave. More than usual. I don't know, she seems unhappy, and you know that he's always referred to her as she. When he normally says she, he's only ever talking about the sea. He has no wife, he has no children. He's always been on his own. And he's got this sort of dark brown hair, very neat. You can see that he uses some, you've seen him, but you can smell that really, really strong like lacquer smell. Which he actually uses to just like smooth his hair over half the time, like as he just pushes it off to the side, because you know when he's trying to do something, if a hair falls in his face, it makes him, it just winds him up. You can see very well worked hands, very, very clean, but very rough, very, very rough hands. He's got his sleeves constantly rolled up. He's always got that apron on, and the lacquer smell is almost eye-watering, but he looks no different. It is right, but he's just used to this strong smell, and he pauses for a moment and then looks to you. I still hear the sea when I'm on land. You?
She speaks always. She speaks to me when I'm awake, and she speaks to me when I dream. And when there's a quiet moment today, I'll see if I can talk to her, find out what's going on.
And he sort of slowly nods. You know, they say those who've been to sea or live by the sea dream in tides.
We live in tides. We don't just dream them.
I've stopped dreaming, and I'm not sure why.
Stop dreaming.
Well, you know, I always dream about the sea. I dream about the tides. I dream about flooding. You name it, I dream about it. Lately, I don't know. There's something wrong. There's something in the air that's wrong. There's something strange.
It's like she's pulling away from you?
She pauses. Maybe. It's why I accepted, thought I should probably chase her.
Did you do anything to offend her?
I'd never.
By mistake? Step on the ship with the wrong foot? Drop something in the water unintentionally?
No, always step on, right foot forward.
She can be fickle.
She can be dangerous.
This we know.
Never without reason. And sort of smiles.
I don't know. Sometimes she's a little fickle anyway.
Changing, I think, is what she would prefer. Ever changing.
Interesting is another way to put it.
Could be. Are you going to miss Perranporth? Didn't think so.
It's a good enough town. There's no town that's good enough to compare.
I think that he starts clicking his fingers. That Scottish guy, the loud one, the one he's coming on board as well. He's ordered a load of cider that and it seems to be rolling in as you see that young cabin boy James start rolling this barrel up one of the ramps and down the steps.
Is it his size?
About that. He's got someone with him helping him, but he looks very keen.
So it sounds like Douglas is going to be our cook then.
Yes.
The one that nobody can understand.
He sort of pauses and there's that heavy sigh. I mean, I like him, but you can definitely hear him before you see him.
This is true. And he's a little fun to mess with.
He just keeps talking about a bridie and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I think he just made something up in order to annoy people.
I mean, he sort of like chuckles to himself and pushes this lacquered hair back. So, I mean, if they're real, I'll happily try one someday. His cooking's good.
His cooking is excellent. His attitude is...
Yeah, manners not so much, but he's a good guy.
So here's what I'm going to do. Before he gets on the ship, once they have his herbs all organized, I'm going to go change them around.
But he won't know. He doesn't know what it's organized in there. He'll just change it all anyway. You can organize it exactly how he tells you and he'll come and do it himself.
I'm going to change it as many times as I possibly can.
You've got a death wish. And he sort of turns and starts to walk away. And could you roll me a beyond check, please?
How do I do that?
So on your character sheet, you can, where you've put beyond, you see that tiny little button underneath beyond.
Mm-hmm. I
where,
do.
You just click that. Okay. As you you stand there and you look out to the ocean, and it is grey.
Oh, hey. There's a
yes.
So in your box on your character sheet, do you have a +2?
Just to right before I rolled it. I just put it in.
Remove the plus. You've got a double plus there. When Roll20 sees double pluses, it makes things 0.
Should I re-roll?
Yeah.
Yes, go for it, re-roll.
That's way better.
There you
go. Thank you. Thanks for having my
You look out to the sea, and the sky is pretty clear. You can hear the gulls overhead. That salty sea air is filling your lungs. And you hear a clank on the floor. Something hits the deck.
I look toward the clank, try to find what it is.
You see a small stone. A very smooth stone. with almost two perfect holes through it. And I suppose being an old sea dog, you've heard of these sorts of things before, but again, it's normally, you always find them near water, but not on ships. This is something that's washed up on the beach. This is a hagstone. And it settles almost perfectly by your boot.
I'll lean down and touch it carefully and pick it up if I don't feel anything unusual.
You pick it up and it feels very, very smooth. And it's an almost greyish blue stone with these holes in. And you've seen these everywhere, probably around the village. They're seen almost like a protection, almost like good luck. People tend to collect them on the beach when they find them, tie them, either wear them as a necklace, or some people tie them above their children's beds.
Okay.
And I will say, because you rolled a 9, the one thing you do know, being the old sea dog, because you've seen it before, this is something sometimes sailors wear. And only once have you ever seen one break in two. They seem to, as much as they look fragile and they feel fragile, they're very solid. But the saying
and this one is not broken.
This one is not broken. This is not broken. This just sits by your foot. But it is said if one breaks, it has used its power to protect a life.
Mm.
And then it is gone. And can I have a quick description of what Shepherd actually looks like?
Sure. Small, wiry, salt and pepper hair that's in mutton chops that are very poorly maintained. A knit cap, a pea coat. And actually on the back of his hands are tattooed 2 8-pointed stars. And like I said before, face very weathered with the wind and the salt. He's mid-40s, but probably looks like he's late 50s at this point. Maybe the oldest person on the ship. And you can tell from the way that he moves that he moves with the ship very fluidly, like the Doctor does. I'll look up to see if I can find anywhere that this hagstone may have come from.
You look up into the sky, you look around. It's couldn't have come from anywhere. It's like it dropped out of the sky.
As I look up, I'll just say very quietly, thank you, lady. And then I'm going to go in search of some cord, which probably isn't super hard to find.
You can find it down. You can find you find Henry down in his surgery, as he calls it, and you know there's always some manner of thing. He keeps bits and bobs down there anyway. And he sort of, if he sees it, he sort of goes, it's over there, and you can see he's doing something. You don't know what it is. He's always doing something. He's keeping his hands busy.
I'll grab the cord and I'll weave the cord into the stone. However, I've seen people do it before. And I'll go in search of James.
Okay.
And if I can find James, I'll sort of squat down a little bit so that I'm eye to eye with him.
You can see him. He's got his arms full of like this sack of something. He's like, "Can I help?"
Set the sack down for just a moment.
Okay. And he sort of very carefully lays this sack down.
The sea can be, yes. The sea can be a very dangerous place. You know that.
My mum said that.
Have you ever seen one of these? And I'll show him the stone.
So looks over there. I used to have one of those over my crib when I was younger.
I want you to have this one.
Why?
To keep you safe.
Is that what they do?
That's what they do. And this is a special one.
Why?
Because the Star of the Sea dropped it to give it to me so that I could give it to you.
And you see this kid look around, like looking slightly nervous, sort of as you look around. Looks
She's
up.
our friend. She's our friend. You have nothing to be afraid of.
I mean, okay, like a gift for me.
A gift for you. And I'm going to put it over his head and around his neck.
He sort of takes it and he's like holding it and looking at it. Thank you. And he's sort of looking at it because you can see him like hold up and look through the circle, like the hole in the center of it, and then put it down again. And
she's watching over you.
Well, I suppose that's good, ain't it? And then he just said, James! He's like, I've got to go. And he sort of starts dragging this sack again, like almost down the steps. And we're going to hop over to Wyatt. Wyatt, where are you? Are you in the city? Are you on the ship as well? Where are you?
I won't be on the boat yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be doing one of two things. I'd be either procuring some supplies and procurements for Douglas, or I would be getting myself a small drink.
Okay. You've just had an exchange with one of the merchants that seems to come in. It's sort of an underhanded exchange where you've been given a lot of spices, these sort of little terracotta pots filled with all these different spices. The smell is amazing, like it's almost slightly overpowering, but you're able, it's sort of a weird sort of exchange where it's done very quietly. It's done behind one of the market stalls. As you sort of make this exchange. The guy that you've seen, he's normally your go-to guy. He gives you a bit of a smile and a nod as you take this away.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I would be doing, of course, is while I'm there and we're making ourselves a deal, is I'd be snatching a bit of extra.
Oh yeah. Like, are you doing that underhandedly, or would this person know?
Underhandedly, of course.
Okay, I'll say you can do it because I think you'd be.
Right.
But you can. What is it you're snatching this? Because this stall is like mainly spices. There's a lot of dried herbs. You can see some salted meats here and stuff as well. As he's going to go and get the spices, he sort of turns his back for a moment.
Right. Yeah. I'll grab me a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll grab. I'm not trying to be no, sneakster about it, but I'm gonna take it, while he's not looking, but I know that if he says anything about it, then I'm gonna pull the eagle on him.
Mm-hmm. And you sort of you've got what does Wyatt look like in this very small sort of very English Cornish town?
Right. Yeah. I mean, he looks. I mean, he he came from a ranch, so he looks like a rancher. He's got spurs on his boots, and even though he don't really need them right now, he's got them flared out pants like you'd expect to see, and a big old belt buckle holding his trousers up. He's got a traveling coat that he wears and a big nice hat.
And this meat goes straight underneath that coat.
Yep.
Like it goes straight underneath there as this man turns around again, gives you a smile, hands over this almost like a crate of all of these spices and things like that. And he's good to be doing business with your friend.
Right. And I'll wipe my hand on my pants and then I'll shake his hand.
Yeah. And he sort of goes to look at it and does the same, thinking it's maybe a thing Americans do, and holds his hand out. And he shakes it very firmly. You can tell this is like this is definitely someone who lifts all the time, all these crates, all these carts, and you can feel a very sort of rough hand grip you back and shake. He's a very heavy-topped man. He doesn't look like he eats a lot, but there's a lot of muscle, sort of wiry muscle there. As you leave,
tip my hat.
The clang of he sort of just like does a weird wave at you as you go and sort of goes back to his stall. As your spurs sort of clang as you walk down this cobbled street, you can see some of the kids are sort of like looking. Some of them run down beside you. You see a very small girl in almost like a little smock dress. It looks pretty grey, mainly because she's probably been playing in the dirt when she shouldn't have. She's got a small little knit cardigan and a button pulled over the top, and very jet black hair, sort of a bit wavy, sort of falls sort of wiry around her face, very mousy looking. And she sits there sort of chewing the end of her thumb, and she walks in front of you, says, "What are those?" and points down at your spurs.
These are my boots.
Why have they got those in them? And she looks down at her boots that are just these tiny little dainty things.
Well, they're for a couple things, but they're for going fast, and they're also for protection.
They make you go faster.
And sometimes.
He sort of looks down at them, and she's sort of like just playing with her lip and her chin and her hair, sort of some hairs like in her mouth as she chews it. She looks slightly nervous about it, and she looks up at you. You took some meat from that man.
No, I traded for that for this meat from that man.
I don't mind. I'm just saying there's a dog following you, and you can tell if there's a dog that can obviously smell your coat, and it's like this very small mongrel type, very scruffy, like sort of a brown and white, almost like Jack Russell mixed with something bigger.
Yeah.
Is this sort of looking very happily sort of at your coat, not going for it, but he can smell it. And
I've still got the residue on my hands, and so I'm gonna make friends with the dog. Yeah, I'm just gonna bend down and just let him lick my hand and just be friends with him.
Yeah, this dog sort of very excitedly sort of starts just like lapping at your hand, and sort of sniffing your coat, not really going for your coat. If anything, with the thin smell of the spices puts him off.
Is this your dog?
Oh no, I don't know whose dog that is. But I came here to give you something.
Something for me.
Yeah, you're the American, right?
I'll tip my hat.
Hold your hand out.
Okay.
And she smiles and puts something in your hand. And as she does, she doesn't uncover it straight away. She does look you directly in the eyes. And you see a very grey-green flash in these irises of hers as she smiles. And for a moment, you hear a bell ring. And there's no bell around. But you hear the ring of a bell. You say, "Okay, see you later." And she sort of, you see these two little shoes turn and sprint off down the cobbled streets, weaving into the crowd.
What's in my hand?
In your hand is a small greyish blue stone with 2 holes in it. You probably wouldn't know exactly what it was. You've heard it being called a hagstone before. You've seen them maybe strung up outside. You've seen definitely the pasty shop has a few, like hanging outside, almost like in a wind chime type, almost like a mobile effect. But the little girl is gone.
Connecting this stone with some of the witch doctory business that I got to witness from back home. You know, in any conflicts that we had with the locals that were there before we got there. I am very afraid of this stone.
Fair.
Yeah, I will say that, and I will think to myself, I need to find somebody that knows what they're talking about and tell me what this stone does.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I should throw it in the mud. I don't know if I should put it in my pocket. Or if I'm supposed to eat it.
Where, I mean, you can try eating it. I'll make you roll for that. So, where would you head?
I ate the stone so I can become rock hard.
Or
Rock
full
hard
of
core.
holes. Or if you're full of holes, that could be a worse one. But there you go.
Chipped a few teeth, you know.
So from here, let's see. I'm thinking maybe Shepard might know something. You know, being a religious, superstitious kind of fella. I'm gonna head to the docks then, and see if I can.
You head down the cobblestone steps, and it's almost a windy path, a fairly narrow path through the village. Again, you can see there's a lot of hustle and bustle. There's more kids playing. There's a lot of people moving livestock. You can walk through the market. You can hear a Scots accent from somewhere being yelled, though you can't see anyone. And you sort of look over this edge as it drops down onto the beach, and you see the ship.
Right. I think passing by, like through the marketplace, I think I'll, of course, stop by, and seeing my buddy Douglas. I'll just kind of tip my hat and just pat him and come. If he's got a coat on, especially, I'm going to slide that bag of spices into his coat pocket.
Oh yeah, you sort of make this exchange.
I'll keep the meat on me, and I'll save that for later.
You make that exchange as you head down. You can see the chariot almost bobbing on this huge. Seems to be this. I've completely forgotten the word for it. We'll just say deck for now. It's jetty that's been built just for this ship to be made out in the ocean. You do notice that dog is still following you. It's sort of just trotting behind, trying to keep a little bit of a distance, but it is following you.
All right. That's all right. I like dogs, and dogs are good back where I'm from. A man's best friend, after all. So I'm gonna walk up to the ship. I ain't gonna get on it yet because I ain't got to. But I'm gonna just holler, Shep.
And Shepard, you recognize that voice a mile off. You don't see it, but you can probably assume that he doesn't particularly want to get on the ship. Captain Reed sort of looks at you and goes, just go, as he's sort of trying to drag James around, like, no, over here, like sort of having it, but you can see Wyatt.
I say, aye, sir, and I pat James on the head, and then I head over to where Wyatt is and say, come aboard.
What? I got a question for you.
Ship's not going to bite you. Come aboard and ask me the question.
Oh, we don't leave until tomorrow, or when is it? Maybe the next day?
Tomorrow or the next day. I heard they might move it up, but get some practice. Come aboard.
I'm getting ready for that. But I had a question for you. See if you can take a look at this. I found it, and I think it might have some kind of special qualities, mayhaps. And I'll toss it up to him.
Try catching it. Hopefully, I can catch it.
Yeah, I'll say you can catch that.
Okay.
And you do see in your hand this very similar to the one that you found a hagstone.
Is it the same color? Or different color?
It's maybe a little bit paler. It's basically the same thing. It's just
okay. I'll look up and I'll wink at Wyatt and say, next time I'll hold your hand so you can come on up. What you found is called a hagstone. It's very good luck. It protects lives.
You sure is good luck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back where I'm from, stuff like that was cursed.
I know curses. I care about curses. This is not a curse.
All right. I trust you.
I'll toss it back to him.
Well, I thank you. I'm going to go back in town now.
You sure you don't want to have a little bit of a look at the ship?
I see it. It's very beautiful, the ship.
All right.
Yep.
Have fun in town. I will hold your hand next time. We'll walk up together.
I'll be all right.
All right.
Thank you, though. Enjoy the boat.
Put it around your neck. Wear it close to your chest.
All right, I'll take that advice to heart.
And I wave goodbye.
Wyatt, you can turn and walk back towards the town. Shepherd, you will notice there is a small dog that plonked himself beside Wyatt and has turned to follow back as well. Seems to be sniffing the coat a little bit, but is definitely following.
If I have any like little bits of jerky or something in my pocket, I'll just toss it out to the dog.
Oh, they'll catch it. And then they'll immediately start following Wyatt again. The nice meat-smelling coat.
Okay.
And we'll hop over to Lamorna. Where would you be on this day?
I think at the moment, Lamorna is... Now, if I remember Perranporth from my days in Cornwall, almost immediately around the town are the moors and the cliffs which overlook the beach. And they're actually pretty damn close to the town and the actual, docks and everything. So I think she's sitting on kind of one of these cliffs overlooking where the ship is being kind of loaded down below, just kind of watching it being loaded up with all the equipment and food and supplies that it needs. I think she's munching on a proper Cornish pasty in one hand, and just kind of with her legs dangling over the cliffside, just kind of fairly just calmly just watching the ship, everything kind of down below, everyone milling about.
Yeah, you sit overlooking the chariot. You can see probably quite, not little dots, but you can definitely make out who it is. You can see an interaction between Wyatt and Shepherd. You can see this dog trot off behind him. You can definitely see that Wyatt is hesitantly not going to get on the ship just yet.
Oh yeah, she definitely chuckles a bit at that.
And the breeze up here is very brisk, but it's very, very pleasant. You can really smell that salt sea air, and you can see a couple of fishing boats coming in, trawling up what looks to be almost like lobster pots. There's some fish, but you can see again, there seems to be a lot less than there was maybe a year or so ago. There just doesn't seem to be as much fish around. And this pasty is warm in your hands. It's pretty fresh. You know Agatha does a good pasty. And she always keeps one aside for you, which is one she's made herself. And you sit on this cliff edge, and you pause and look out to the sea. And did you roll me a beyond check?
Oh yes,
Please.
why I can.
Okay. You look out to sea. You don't see anything. You can just see the normal, the waves breaking. It seems pretty steady. You can see, or maybe sense, that there is a bit of a storm brewing, like when the air pressure changes and you can smell it. There is a storm brewing in the distance, but there's something else as well. You can hear a bell ring. A bell chime, not from the village, not from anywhere else. You know there's nowhere else along here. There is no chapel getting ready for service. So there is a bell ringing, and it feels like it's coming from out in the ocean.
I think she's still a little bit jumpy, so I think she kind of gets to her feet quite quickly. And she has this kind of rifle that is strapped to her back. She's more or less keeps her belongings and equipment on her. I think she's just kind of frowning and kind of just surveying surroundings and just a little bit kind of bewildered.
And you, as you do, you sort of sat back, you finish that pasty, you put your hands on the ground, you feel that grass that sits at the top of the cliffs. It's not long grass as it sort of disappears, so it's more that sort of very rough seagrass and weeds and things like that. And Your thumb runs over something smooth. A stone. A stone with holes in, a bluish grey stone. And I'm just gonna break that glass, Scrap. You see what you recognise as a hagstone. And again, this is a strange thing. It should be down by the shoreline. It's normally on the banks of rivers, it's on the shore of the ocean. It's almost strange that you found one just up here in the grass.
I think she kind of turns it over a few times in her hand and then pockets it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she kind of stands up and does this long, kind of languid stretch and just starts sauntering back towards town.
Yeah. You can head back towards town. And
but like she takes her time. She's not like walking fast.
Yeah, there's it's a fairly not a really steep climb up to the top of this cliff, but it's definitely much easier on the way down. As you stride back towards the village, you can see the market is going. You can see Wyatt making his way up the stone steps back up into the village itself. And as you slowly approach the edge of the village itself, there are a fair amount of people that seem to be rolling barrels and rolling lots of supplies. You know, it's quite a big thing for a ship to take sort of to leave this port, especially a ship of this size. This is not just a fishing boat. This is for a voyage, effectively. And you start to walk through the town, through these little homes, almost all slightly different shapes and sizes, all squished together. Some look slightly wonkier than the others. You see kids playing as they run through the streets. You can see some water running down the top of the streets as they've started to clean some of the upper streets from the cattle that have gone down in the day. You can see people throwing buckets of water and the water trickling between the cobbles. But you hear a very, very loud Scottish accent coming from somewhere. And Douglas, whereabouts are you in the market, or have you left the market when the Mora spies you? Also, because you were just away at the time, you have been snuck a thing of spices by Wyatt whilst you were in the market.
Nary a word exchanged, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
As soon as I do hear Douglas's voice, I would scoff the rest of that pasty. I can't have that conversation again.
Douglas would come around the corner, possibly with a pie, actually. With a wee pear. And that'd be his
actual prop.
Actual pie just always has something to hand.
And when I see Lamona, oh hey, Lamona.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
You are looking chipper as usual.
Hey, it's been a good day, you know. Went and spoke to Peter and Harriet, and I think we're all ready for the next trip.
When do we set out?
Is it tonight or tomorrow?
You know, it was supposed to be in 2 days' time, but it could end up tomorrow because there is a storm brewing.
It should be a couple of days' time, but looking at that storm over the horizon, I'm not really sure.
Yes, well, that would influence the captain's decision.
Hey.
I'd rather be leaving sooner than later.
No, we'll either be leaving early or late. One or the other.
Well, yes, it would be one of those two, most likely. And she's just kind of... She just kind of looks at him. I don't think she still hasn't quite sussed him out yet and finds him a little bit bewildering. you have all of your supplies ready, yes?
Aye, salted pork, salted beef, salted fish. We're trying some new kippers, which should be real interesting.
Kippers are a good choice, yes.
Dried beans, dried peas, dried rice, dried haggis.
I was on board until the last few. I'll try and bring a few more interesting, maybe fresh items to add to the kitchen inventory.
I'll let you in on a wee secret, Lamorna. You can't tell anyone, alright? I'm thinking, you know the wee bridies that they make in town?
No, because they don't.
But they do, don't they? The wee bridies. I'm thinking, right, you know the pastry wouldn't last at sea, aye? You can, the pastry wouldn't last.
Well, not if stored over a long
You've got
period.
maybe a day tops, right, before it starts going all hard. What
Yes.
if we did the same thing, but with biscuits, aye? With the hardtack. Hear me out. We get rid of the gravy. No gravy. The gravy makes them all go soft. And we just put salted pork, salted peas, and salted beans all inside a hardtack, and you got yourself a ship-worthy bridie.
Ooh, no. That sounds far too dry for me. I'll just tell you what. I'll just stick to the salted fish and pork and beef that we have in our supplies, and make your delicacies for the rest of the crew. I am absolutely fine with what we have. Douglas, you know I'm not particularly experimental when it comes to cuisine.
That's true.
I will support
palate,
you.
you like the colour beige.
Well, thank you, but I will support you. I am, here to. I will sing the praises of your meals. Just please don't expect me to partake.
Right. No fancy sauce for you. Got it.
No fancy sauce.
A.
And she just kind of awkwardly smiles.
And
Have you got your AMP?
I've already eaten, but thank you very much for. I suppose it wasn't really an offer, was it?
Eat yourself.
And at this point, you can hear that perfect clank of spurs walking back, maybe in a little bit of a hurried fashion, back up onto this cobbled street. It's a sound people probably now associate with Wyatt, as they can hear the spurs coming. But you also, if anything, Lamora, because from the way you're facing, you'd probably notice Wyatt, but you can see a small dog sort of trotting by his side, and you know he didn't have a dog before. But you can, all three of you are sort of now on the same eye line. Wyatt, you can decide whether you've seen them or not.
I'm just gonna tip my hat and see if they need anything. If not, I'm gonna say okay, and I'm gonna head on into nearest places I can go grab myself a drink.
Are you planning to take that dog on the ship? Is it trained for? I don't think they were very fond of life on deck.
Oh, hey, Lamorna. And I don't know this dog.
And can I tell if he just smells funny? Can I sniff him?
Can I sniff him?
Make a Nazgul roll.
To be fair, like, the smells is probably very overwhelming from the market. You wouldn't be able to be like, you smell of salt beef or dried meat, or so. You wouldn't be able to tell exactly that it's
all right.
Then, it's definitely very much, you can smell it in the market.
Does the dog look hungry? Like, is it got that kind of panting, like looking up at him adoringly?
I mean, it's looking up at him adoringly, and it is licking its lips because it's just been throwing some stuff by Shepherd. But
I'm gonna. Oh, now after you.
I guess I'm just very likable.
I'm gonna dip down, like, crouch near the dog and kind of try and point it slyly towards the pie that Douglas is holding and say, that gentleman over there probably has much more that you're interested in. He smells like an entire galley.
And you can see the dog's nose twitching. You can see it sort of like looking from backwards and forwards to all three of you. I will say there is a tavern close by. You will see an inn. You can hear that creak of the sign, the wooden sign, sways in the wind. It's called the Old Bell Inn. And it's...
What kind of door does it have?
It's just a very standard door, very wooden standard door. You can see a flagstone out the front, almost like to scrape your boots on. As you go in, you can hear a lot of sort of like it's coming up to around lunchtime, so you can definitely hear people in there. You can smell cooking. You can really smell like the wood smoke of an open fire. You know that the innkeeper in there, he's normally very, very welcoming. They do food. You can see through the little windows there that it seems to be quite full. There's lots of round tables in there with people seated at them. A lot of fishermen. You can see sort of very wet, sandy footprints walking into this tavern.
I'll invite Lamorna into the inn to have a drink with me.
By all means, I haven't got anything else to do till my contract on the chariot begins.
All right. I will tell the dog to stay.
The dog is now looking at Douglas's pie. The dog is now officially just staring up at you, Douglas.
I will pretend that it is listening to me. And I will turn the doorknob on the door and push it and look back at Lamorna and say, it's weird. I'm never going to get used to that, you know.
What, the accent?
No, well, that too. But no, the door. You have to turn the knob and then go in before. I mean, back where I'm from, you know, you just you push the door and it swings open, you know, and then it swings closed.
I suppose so. Is that radically different to having to do a thing before it opens?
Well, it's just, you know, it's I don't know. It's just different. It's less welcoming in my opinion.
Are you still able to lock the door, or does it just...
Oh, no, it's just open. It just swings right on open.
I suppose so. Just you'd think all the cold air would get in.
Oh, it ain't cold where I'm at. It feels very nice all the time. Well, it's hot, but you know, it ain't never chilly like this.
That must be quite pleasant.
It's all right. Not a whole lot to complain about.
Are you buying?
Yeah, I'll buy. Yeah, that's fine.
And you enter into this tavern and you are hit by almost like a wave of warmth that is coming from these fires. They've started lighting them again. Now that autumn has started to set in. That very sort of smoky wood burner smell. You can hear a lot of laughter. You can hear a lot of very loud voices from the fishermen that's sitting in the corner. You can see what looks to be just sort of pie that is being served up. It looks to be very simple, just pie and a few maybe vegetables or something that is set aside. Everything seems to be the same. It doesn't seem to be a choice. It is literally you get what you're given. But there is a very smiley man behind the bar. Not round, but very, very broad. Like an almost like if a man was a square, that's what this man is. And he's very, very blonde, sort of curly blonde hair. You can tell that this is a family business, as a young woman that seems to be rushing around with an apron around her serving up these pies also has very, very blonde curly hair, sort of all tied up and tied back. And he's just wiping down some of these glasses and plans of wiping down the bar. And he smiles and looks to all of you. Good day.
Hey there, friend.
And how are we doing today? I got some whiskey in. You should like that, right? That's
Do you
stuff
now?
you like. That stuff.
I do like
Americans
the whiskey.
Okay, I mean, it might not be quite close to it, but and he pulls out this bottle, which is like a very brown ceramic bottle, no label on it whatsoever. It looks like it's been peeled off. Is that? But I got some.
All right.
And he smiles and pulls that cork out, and and he starts just pouring it into this glass, this very sort of amber-colored liquid.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have some yourself. This is.
Gosh, I can't do that. Or maybe I can. And he sort of looks around. You're guessing he's actually looking for his wife for a moment. He's like, okay, I'll share one with you. And he sort of starts pouring.
This is your place, right? You can get yourself a drink.
I like to think it's my place, but my wife says otherwise. And as he sort of pulls this glass and slides it along the counter to you, and then he looks to Lamorna. It's like, and you?
What's stronger, whiskey or brandy? Or have you got any rum?
I have a little bit of rum, as in.
Is it stronger than the whiskey?
Maybe not this one. This is
that then. Please.
Oh, right. And you know this man as Abraham. He is he's a sort of an older looking guy. You can see lots of like crow's feet and big smile lines as he pours it, and he's like, good girl, as he pours it and slides it.
I think he's seen a lot of Lamorna lately.
Yeah.
And she just like takes it without really saying much, just gives him a nod.
You can smell it.
I'll cheers, Lamorna.
Cheers. And he knocks it back, and you can see him like almost have like a mild coughing fit as so I might stick to the ale.
How'd you happen upon this, Abe?
Friend went, oh my gosh, my eyes. Like, and he sort of like squints a little bit, and he's like, a passing trader brought it in. I don't know. I just saw the whiskey and thought it'd be a thing for you, but.
Mighty kind of you. I'm glad you thought of me.
Oh gosh, I could clean stuff with that. As he sort of looks down at the bottle.
You sure could. I tell you what. I'd like to take the rest of that bottle.
Right. In fact, take it as a good luck trip on your voyage. And he just places the bottle down. You can see he kind of wants to get rid of it because he doesn't think he's now going to sell it.
I got something to share with you. Something we can split. Won't you grill us up a couple of these, and I'll pull the salted meat out of the coat.
And he sort of looks like, I can do that. I can do that, sir. Thank you. And he sort of like takes it from like in this brown paper and quickly disappears behind the bar. And this whiskey is, drink it as you take a bottle of a very strong whiskey. And like it sort of burns your nostrils as you smell it, sort of thing.
I think Lamorna's eyes are she's like completely impassive, but her eyes are just like streaming.
Yeah.
This is good medicine, Lamorna.
You both can either sit at the table or stand by the bar and drink this whiskey. And Douglas, what are you doing as you have this dog staring up at you outside the pub?
You can't have me pay you, wee belter. Get it, go bail your head.
It just blinks at you. Tongue sort of hangs
Douglas,
out
a dog speaks English.
Get out of here, you wee steen. Go on. Get lost. Like, open the door and try and, like, put my foot out to, like, stop it from coming in and then close the door behind me.
Yeah, you do that, and then as the next person comes in, this dog trots in behind him.
Ah, yeah, look what you're getting done, you wee... Ah!
And then this man looks at you like, what? Like, as he continues over to this table full of fishermen.
You let the dig in.
And this dog comes and just plonks himself down by, by all of you.
I just start petting the dog.
Yeah, he sort of looks pretty happy about it, his eyes close. And he sort of ruffles.
Eating my pie double quick.
You start eating and you bite into this pie and your teeth hit something hard.
Oh!
And there is a very small blue greyish stone with a couple of holes in it. A hagstone.
There's a wee stain in me pay.
That is unusual too. Stones aren't usually baked into pies for any reason, are they?
Hey, I'm gonna go and have a word with old Norman round the corner. What the hell's he playing at, putting a wee stain in me pay?
They're also usually not polyhedrals.
True.
That's very unusual.
By my reckoning.
Hang on, I'll try and fix it. I've only got one hole though.
I'm sure it was an accident. You really shouldn't have to go to the trouble of going to complain about your pie. It was a very small pie. There's more pie here.
And his eyes are going too.
Have you seen the size of the pie they're serving here? You could just get more pie.
There's something wee about the wee pie though, you know.
No, I don't really understand. But I'll take your word for it. Are you sure you wouldn't just like some of this pie?
Aye, alright, I'll have a pie. And have you got any...
Maybe some whiskey?
Aye, whiskey, hey. Have you got any malts?
He's not here, he's gone to cook the meat.
Is he gone?
Abraham has gone to cook the meat.
I tell you that guy.
Have you got any malts?
I tell you that guy. He just you turn to talk to him and he's gone. I'm just gonna look across the bar and see if I can see any bottles and just help myself.
Yeah, you can lean across and there seems to be there doesn't seem to be any whiskey or anything like that. You can see rum. The only bottle of whiskey seems to be very close to Wyatt. But otherwise there's rum, there's ale, and there's big there's also some big flasks that the younger girl with the very blonde curly hair is walking around with.
Port? Is there a port?
You can see a port.
Yeah, I'll help myself to the fortified wine.
Mm. And
Wait, what exactly is port again?
it's like a really rich wine, I guess. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
like
okay.
Christmas wine.
Extra
like
fruit, extra. It's a
fruity.
fortified wine, so they just put it through the process a couple more times. It's like, usually about the same
It's-
strength as whiskey.
Super wine.
Yes, super wine. It's the same strength as whiskey, but yeah,
Port.
It's like brandy to cider.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's yummy. You, after a while, after you've all poured these drinks and you've sat in this tavern, you hear that sort of the laughing, the chatting that's going round, and that fire is going. Abraham comes back with these meats. They're cooked amazingly well, sort of just perfect, just how you like them. And he sort of brings out those sort of very greyish metal two-pronged fork and knife, and sort of hands it out to you, almost like a sharing plate. And
I helped myself to the port. I owe you 6 pence.
You feel like Abraham's used to this because he knows you will actually pay. He's like, it's fine, friend, as he sort of hands out these forks and pulls up a stool himself by the side of the table. It looks like most people are served. Here and there, he moves to go and serve someone else.
Wyatt, this is for sharing, right?
Yeah. One of those is for Abe, but
As
the
soon
rest.
as soon as he says that, she just devours her share of it.
You sort of tuck in, you can hear the scrape of that metal on the metals of the pewter plates. And you sit there and you drink good whiskey or port. And there's a chatter, and you can, all three of you're chatting to Abraham, and slowly, in fact, can all of you roll a beyond check?
Sure.
Please?
Oh, so bright. Oh, not bad.
Okay.
Oh.
Pretty bad.
For a moment, Douglas, you're lost in the port. You're listening to Abraham. You feel a very warm sensation in your throat and chest as you feel quite cozy.
I shouldn't have poured
That
myself a
salted
pint.
meat.
It's a lot of port.
That is a lot of port. That'll kill a man. But you can taste that richness of the meat. You feel quite cozy. You feel warm. And it's almost like all the sounds around you start to fall away. and all you can hear is the crackle of the fire. And for a moment you can hear the sea, and you can just hear the crackle of the fire and the sound of waves as if they're lapping up against the shore, which you shouldn't be able to hear from this tavern. And somewhere you hear a bell ring. And Lamora, as you're finishing up this meat and you drain that last part, welcome readers, as you drain the last part of that glass, you smile at its warmth as it feels very, very cozy, and you too hear nothing but the crackle of a fire. It's like you're looking at Abraham, you're listening to him, and it's like his voice falls away, and it's almost like a muffled voice, as you can hear it, as if you're listening to it underwater, as it's muffled. And you hear a bell ring from somewhere. But on Wyatt, on your roll, you sit there with that glass in your hand, the fork in your other, and you look past Abraham. You do hear that bell ring, but for a moment you sort of shake it off and it disappears. But you can see past Abraham, you see through behind the bar a small doorway, which you know leads into the kitchen. And a little girl in a smock dress and a little green knitted cardigan with that black wiry hair stands there and just gives you a smile. And Shepard, whilst you stand on the deck of this ship, could you roll me a Beyond check, please? Okay. You stand on this deck. You feel it swaying. You can hear the captain's orders being shouted. You see James following Henry, carrying something as he's moving back down underneath the deck. You can see a couple of people laughing as they secure the lifeboats. And you pace the deck. You feel like your feet are leading you. Like you haven't chosen to walk in this direction, but something, the sea is telling you to walk here. And you walk towards the bow, towards the head of Minerva. And you stand and look out. And the tide is going out. And there's almost like a bank of sand. And you close your eyes for a brief moment, and that bell rings. It's almost like the bell from a chapel. You almost think you've heard it before. But in the distance, you almost have to squint to have a look. You think you can see someone stood on this sandbank. A child. A young girl with very dark, wiry hair that blows in the breeze. A smock dress and a small green cardigan buttoned up. And that bell ringing almost becomes deafening as she smiles at you. And that's where we will leave Alas the Awful Sea this week. Ready for next.
Woo! Session 1. What up?
Session 1, and we've already got creepy kids.
What? Yeah. What's up with this creepy girl, dude?
She's not creepy. She's not creepy. She could be really nice.
She keeps smiling at me.
She gave you a present. She gave you a present.
Her eyes
but then her eyes
green.
did something weird. Right? Her eyes did something weird.
I'm going with creepy. Creepy.
Gave you
Also,
literally
Alice,
a protective
Have any of our
stone.
characters ever had any kids? Alright,
Yeah.
so we're all like,
Is it this one just like everyone's terrified of children, even though they shouldn't?
Very specific phobia that we just all have in common.
I will say, Alice, you play a young English boy really, really well. Like,
So adorable. So cute.
Young English boy.
we must
My
protect
specialty.
we must protect James, okay,
At all
everyone?
costs.
Nothing else matters, we must keep James safe.
Hey,
Amen.
Jimbo.
Oh no, all of the Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah, that's all I'm thinking.
Oops.
Jimmy.
Jim.
Right, Scrat, I'll hand back over to you.
Oh dear.
Indeed. Well, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in today. Please take a moment to check out our social links. We do need a raid cry.
Jim.
Also, please check out our sponsors. We have Mayhem Press, who created the Dark Matter content, which is now available for pre-order in hardback. Go and buy it, because I literally told them to do so that I could give you a pre-order thing. So please validate me. Also, check out the Deck of Many. I literally told them. They were like, no, we're not going to do pre-orders. I was like, do pre-orders. Tell people about pre-orders. The Deck of Many. Go and check out the Deck of Many. They also have a new release in the Humblewood setting, which has just become available this month. You can go and get that on their site now. They currently have a Black Friday sale. So you can get all sorts of things over there, and if you spend over $100, you can use the code Scratticus to get free delivery. Also, check out Hero Forge. There is a link to Hero Forge. You can spend a lot of time creating your characters, and I happened to make one earlier on today. Here's one I made earlier. That is a little figurine of Douglas Lachlan. So go and check that out too. Yeah, we have credits to outro with, so we'll be going off on some credits. Please join us on the raid. We will be back at 6 p.m. EST with Mighty Transforming Super Troopers, a Ryutama game which is going to be nothing like Ryutama and nothing like the Power Rangers either. So come and tune in for that. And Alice will be back tonight with a horror campaign as well. So look forward to seeing you then. Yeah, we'll see you next time, everyone. Keep on evoking emotions. Bye.